Hi everyone, and welcome back. It's the fourth webinar for the series, the Future Leaders Fellowship, and I'm pretty glad to have today and honored to have here with us a former chief within the Romanian military defense directorate, chief of operations, chief of training, and chief of staff at NATO headquarters, Multinational Corps Southeast in Sibiu. And this is Major General retired Marian Botea. General, welcome and thank you very much for accepting our invitation.
Good to see you, Paul, and good evening, everyone.
Good evening, everyone. So, General, we have prepared a series of questions. Obviously, it's connected with your military career and military expertise, but not only that. And hopefully, our fellowships will also have questions for you. And I suggest that we start with more details about your personal activities, your challenges, your opportunities, because I'm totally convinced that within your career you experienced a lot of that. And my first question is, considering those challenges and opportunities you faced, what exactly attracted you to the army? If you have any regrets, I have to ask that. I'm sorry.
To regrets.
Well, it's never late to have regrets, but I'm convinced you don't have regrets. But please also share with us the lessons you have learned in the army, the lessons you have learned in leaderships, because you've had many positions as a leader, and I'm convinced there are great opportunities you can share with us.
Paul, let me start by saying I'm happy to have me here, and I'll do the best, even there will be just one single person. So the honor is mine. We know each other for many years. We were
More than 10 years.
comrades, yeah, in Afghanistan. So I gladly accept your invitation and thank you very much. I hope we will have a very interesting discussion, but not only the discussion, because we have very hot topics in this evening. I may not have all the answer you have for me, but I will try to give you a professional answer, not an improvised one. I expect your question at the end of our discussion. So, taking your first question regarding my career is difficult, gentlemen, lady, is difficult to speak about yourself. So let me explain in general why a military career is considered significant. First of all, there is a need to have experience at all level of military art, and I mean tactic, operational, and strategic level. Secondly, is necessary to serve in both national and multinational environment, in both force and command structure. Third, it's necessary to alternate staff and command position, and also is necessary to have education in a national and foreign military institution, and also is mandatory to have operational or combat experience if possible. So this is a solid base to build up a significant career. So I did it. But if you are looking for the general star, and then there you have to have an outstanding performance in all position, and also you have to step by step build up your strategic thinking by education and experience. Now, my personal experience is related to the units and staff I work with. organizing, improving processes, procedure, and train them to use in daily routine exercise and operation, crisis response operation. About opportunities, yes, there were many opportunities in my career. So I try to find opportunity, accepting additional task or finding a different way of approach to the military issues. So I will mention a couple of opportunities. As a junior officer, I participate to the regiment command post exercise that happened before 1989.
How was that, if I may? I mean, it's an entire debate, at least in Romania. How was being a military in a communist period, and how was it to be a military personnel in democracy?
Yeah, it's a huge discussion, but however, it was a different system to operate. So I understand both system, the Eastern system and the Western system, because I implemented. I was participating in implementing the Western system. So it was easier for me because I have the East experience. I could compare which is the better way to respond to military issue. However, coming back after 1989, I could say that I took the opportunity to get education and training in Partnership for Peace program. So that means a lot. I participate in a lot of activities before the Romanian accession to NATO. So this helped me. This helped me in the future position I read. It also was an opportunity for me to work with remarkable commanders, and who saw me capable of important tasks. So I would mention also the dedicated staff I work with. Now, regarding the challenges, I would mention three, the most important challenges in my career. First of all, I implement a combat readiness evaluation tool in the Army. So I did it in the process of Romanian integration to NATO. Second, I adapt and implement a new planning process in Romanian military at strategic, operational, and tactical level by adapting a comprehensive operation planning directive. And also, I design, and as a general, I design and implement new processes and procedure at strategic interagency level. I mean the National Military Command Center here in Bucharest. Regarding the attraction for military environment, my friend, I joined to the military when I was a kid. I was 14 years old when I go to the military high school. So I can't comment right now if it was a rational decision, because I reported to the age I have at that time. But however, when I attend the military high school, I've decided to go to the infantry military school. So I consider a challenge, and it seems that I was inspired because I was easily adapt to the changes coming after 1989. You know, leadership, the commander leadership style. This is a huge discussion because the leadership style has a significant impact on units. The style is coming from leader personality structure, from education experience, and from communication skills that the commander have. So it's very important to mention that. I will mention just a couple things from my experience. First of all, you can't be allowed to command the unit if you don't care about your troops, if you don't love your troops. This is a principle. It was my principle. You have to inspire and motivate your troops with your presence. You know how we did in Afghanistan, with your engagement and with your speech. You have to encourage them to think, to innovate, to adapt, and also to improve themselves, to grow. And also, a leader have to be flexible, have to give the authority alongside with the responsibility. And the last but not the least is reject the obedience.
Okay, so yes, indeed, it's a paradox sometimes. I mean, in the army, I suppose that you need obedience, because when a general puts an order, it has to be fulfilled. And it's the same time like in private companies. But at the same time, the specifics of the army is that you also need to be courageous. So that obedience has to have certain limits. And that it is indeed a challenge, at least from a commander's point of view, because
yeah, I understand what you mean. You have to obey to the order, to the task. But this is something else. It's kind of stick to the task, not the obey to the commander. You know.
yes,
this is the difference. Okay.
This is a leadership difference we have to notice. As I mentioned, you did command some really important structures in the Romanian Ministry of Defense, and not only NATO as well. You have experience. My next question is, and my suggestion is to discuss a little bit about strategy in general and in particular to the military case. So how exactly would you consider that it is important for a leader to have a strategy, to develop and pursue a strategy, or he cannot, or he can do without one? And because sometimes we see leaders in all sorts of domains that apparently have no strategy and just go with the flow, how we can say it. And what exactly are the specifics of a strategy in the military domain, in security and defense, the larger domain? And but I still have one question connected to strategy, but I lost that at the end.
Okay, so I will take it back from the leadership level to link it to the strategy. So a leader is a strategy maker. What makes a leader is the capacity to inspire the people to head in the way indicated for pursuing a goal with means and resource on hand available. So what we have here is a genuine definition of strategy. This is a direct link between leader and strategy. Now, looking back in history, the strategy, it was a military term. From the Greek inheritance, strategos means general, and strategica means force, maneuver, and disposition on the battlefield. So, of course, the things were evolved nowadays. The strategy term rests to the political and top military level as an approach to the security challenges. As a notice, a small strategy is still contained in military plan at lower level, called concept of operation, and we will talk about this. Let me explain you that for plan development, we conduct operations planning, but in the military environment, we have also defense planning and force planning. So we have operations planning, defense planning, and force planning.
Could you just
maybe
clarify us about the difference?
Let me make it simple for you. The operations planning is connected to the operation, to the operational environment or battle. The defense planning. The defense planning is a process establishing the military forces and equipment that a state or an alliance determine as required to meet the objective to counter threat. So it's difficult, and I will explain you if required how we get to the to this requirement, how we establish this requirement. This requirement is a sum of all strategic plans that a nation or an alliance have, and in order to be generated and to be able to execute that plan. So regarding the force planning is a process, and we will talk about later about the international organization. It is a process between international organization assuming an operation, a crisis response operation, and contributing nation. There is a dialogue between the nation, contributing nation, and organization in order to generate the capability necessary to execute the plan. I've done that in SHAPE. I was staff officer for operation, and my main task was I was 4th generation for Romania at military level.
It seems quite complicated. I mean, 3 different types of planning at the national level, plus the correlations with the international level. So the second question connecting the planning is the following. So we have the army and we have all these plans that sounds all complicated. But I suppose there is a specific target of the planning of the army, of all the capabilities, and that target is to maintain peace. And what exactly could you tell us about the role the military has in guaranteeing peace?
To guarantee peace, actually the military instrument was designed to guarantee peace. And there are a couple things. I'm thinking about deterrence. I'm thinking about to build deterrence in terms of a strong instrument in terms of participating in alliance, deterrence in terms of nuclear deterrence. However, these things have to be included in strategy. So, if I may, I would like to refer to the national defense strategy requirements. So, because we have discussed about plans, let's discuss about strategies. Strategy, as I said, goes up to the political and top military level. So, and the national defense strategy is, let's say, is the top document which requires a comprehensive assessment of geopolitical threats, of military capability, technological advancement, and economic resilience. So it's a very complex document. So let's have a look how it's in Romania. So according with our constitution, responsibility for national defense strategy goes to the president. So as a leader of this group for strategy development, the president should come up with his vision, which have to be stated in electoral campaign, actually, because this is one of the reasons for the people vote the president. The level of ambition, and it's important to mention that the level of ambition of the instrument of power, I mean all instrument of power, and the key concept of the strategy. There is also important to give the necessary direction and guidance to, as I said, to all instrument of power, to calibrate them and how to explain how they comprehensively act in order to deter and to face with security risk. If a national defense strategy avoid to address this, and it happens many times in Romania, will fail to solve the security and defense issue, and will pose a security risk himself. National defense strategy have to provide enough guidance for two important, as in Romania, two important subsequent document, and I will mention the government-wide chart and the military strategy. If there is enough substance in the national defense strategy, there will be also in the government-wide chart and in the military strategy. Without having this coherence, the national defense strategy will be just an academic exercise, a drawer document. From the perspective of modern national defense strategy, I'm thinking that it's suited to have a grand strategy. Even there are many experts which are not agree with that. But addressing the state instrument of power, I mean all instrument of power, not only the defense domain, is a requirement, because most of the crises we faced were affecting the nation need a comprehensive approach, an interagency response, like happens in COVID, for example.
It was quite complicated.
Yeah, it is. The last part of your question was connected with the
military as
military instrument as with the role of guarantor of peace. So I started talking about the deterring aggression, which is the main task of the military instrument. But that means there is a very strong instrument to produce deterrence, and also, as I mentioned, to be part of the alliances or coalition or agreement in terms of security, and also to participate in exercises and I mean in big exercises alongside with powerful nation, and also to be covered by the nuclear deterrence umbrella. So another way of having a role in peace is to sustain the international effort for stabilization. And I'm referred to the crisis response operation, humanitarian aid, and assistance, critical infrastructure protection. And also, I would mention strategic defense and international cooperation. As I said, the strategic defense, it's calibrating the military instrument, but not only from this instrument, we commit forces to NATO pack of forces or to EU pack of forces. So we have one single pack, not one dedicated to each alliances or union where we act.
Actually, yes, I do understand this part, and maybe we can go a little bit further discussing about cooperation, because the Euro-Atlantic Resilience Center is working under the authority of the Romanian Ministry of Foreign Affairs. This is an international program. And you also had experience in multinational operations. You mentioned that, at least for Romania, there are two types of multinational operations, those under NATO and those under EU. And my question is, well, in general, I'm not regarding any specific NATO or EU operations, but in general, what are the advantages of an army to operate in multinational environments, and disadvantages, if there are any, and how exactly this cooperation takes place when there are different armies involved with different procedures, different types of effectiveness? Does it affect the operations? Does it enhance it? I mean, from your perspective, what exactly can you tell us about operations, multinational?
It's a very complex question. Actually, there are many questions here. So let's say the state could decide to be actively involved in international community issue, and in this way to have respect and to be appreciated by the other state. So the international community actually is doing that, encourage the state to participate, to be active, even there no direct link between the national interest defined very well by the National Defense Strategy applied by Ministry of Foreign Affairs in the international relation at the military level by us. So even there is no direct interest, countries, Romania should support partner nation in protecting their own interest, because there is an advantage anyway, an advantage with your partner, an advantage for international community. Excuse me.
No worries. Well, indeed, there are advantages. Are there any disadvantages?
Yes, they are. So let's see how the international community acts when we're talking about the crisis. International community interfere in crisis management in the failed state or region, with international organization assuming a role as NATO, EU, OSCE, but everything based on the UN Security Council resolution. So what happens, the organization, one or more, or two or three organizations, initiate the planning process based on the top military or top political guidance, and with an established end state of the operational mission, and with some political objective. So in the strategic planning, actually a planning at strategic level of the organization, they develop a package of military force. How they do that? They are looking to the objective. They establish task, and after that sub-task, sub-task, and so on and so forth. So after that, they allocate a force, a type of force for each of the task, sub-task. And the sum of all of this tasks give the status of requirement. So this status of requirement is given to the contributing nation, asking them to contribute with capabilities from that status of requirement. So this is actually the fourth generation process we were talking about. Firstly, it's the operation is assumed at the top level of the country to support that operation. I mean, in summits, or I don't know, at the ministerial at least. And after that, there is a guidance, there is political guidance, which is the level of commitment, which is the level of ambition. When I lead this analysis at the general staff level, I've asked always the Ministry of Foreign Affairs, what are the national objectives, which is the level of ambition of our commitment, how visible we would like to be in that operation, how many, if we want to have a flag officer position in the command of the operation, we have to commit some forces, because there is a vertical slice, it's called. There is a counting, let's say, formula saying who could reach different position, because having a decision position in the operation, it's important for a nation. A flag position, so-called flag position. So this is the fourth generation process, and it's very complex because not always you have the for a country is difficult. For example, when we were in Afghanistan, it was a time when we commit about more than 2,000 troops.
I know there was a period when Romania had the sixth force capability in Afghanistan from the entire coast.
Yeah, we took Zabul province under control. So we assumed that many forces. So we didn't have the possibility to provide strategic lift from Romania to Afghanistan for all troops. Even we have our own capability. We have C-130 transportation plane, but there is not enough, because actually they fly all the time, but it was impossible to rotate the forces, because there is a rotation policy in every country. When you send a certain unit, a platoon or a company over there, you have to rotate it, to change it at 6 months term rotation. This is our policy. So that means transportation. So we ask our strategic partner, US partner, to provide us. And also we get involved in the heavy air wing lift PAPA agreement. And we bought some flying hours over there with C-17 transportation planes. So actually we succeed to do that, but with the help of the framework nation. So it's a very complicated, but it's very nice. I like very much what I did, because it was very important. I had the occasion to do something important for my country, and to be in permanent contact in the country with the Ministry of Foreign Affairs, or when I worked in the national representative to shape, to ask from the Romanian ambassador to NATO guidance, and to coordinate with them, with the other representative at NATO HQ, and coordinate with NATO HQ in shape. It was tremendous job, and we succeed to do important things at that time.
So basically, multinational operations is about putting capabilities together in order to reach the same goal.
Exactly.
Okay.
So talking about the advantages, first of all, the military advantages. Let's think about the interoperability. So it was one of my tasks when I be working in the strategic planning directorate in the general staff, interoperability. So is based on mainly on standardization, to have let's say standards, technical standards in terms of equipment, to have standards in terms of personnel, and also standards in terms of procedure. So acting in the same area of operation give us interoperability, and our interoperability of the military, Romanian military, increase with our participation in all operational commitment we have. There are also operational experience, because it was an operation at that time. We were in ISAF operation. It was an operation, not a mission. It was transformed in the mission later on. But the security situation was not actually very good in our times, if you remember.
I do. To be more specific, which is the difference between an operation, a military operation, and a military mission? Maybe not everybody.
Okay, good question. An operation have an executive part, have an enemy. A mission could be a training mission to train a certain military. We have in Afghanistan NATO training mission in Afghanistan. It was a training mission, but also we have an operation. ISAF operation, dealing both training the Afghan army, Afghan military, and also to operate against the Taliban. Another important things, it was in intel sharing, and I have very, very good experience with our intel guy, which were deployed in Kandahar and in Zabul area. We could enjoy advanced training. what is advanced training? We have access to the training facilities which would not be welcome in the regular time. So we enjoy the possibility to train in those facilities. And I mentioned here, for example, training of the personnel. Personnel working in staff, in command structure in Afghanistan. There is for flag officer, for colonel, and the general position, there was a specific training. I mean, for everyone, they know each other before they're being deployed in Afghanistan. They exercise the procedure together in those training facilities. Also, of course, political and diplomatic benefits, because you can sit at the same table with the framework nation, which engage this operation, commit forces and the resources in the operation because they have interest. So it was, let's say, in the benefit of our nation to support and to discuss with the framework nation in order to, let's say, your profile, your country profile to grow up, to increase. To increase and to have more credibility and reputation, even among the nation which commit forces in the same operation and mission. There is also an economic and financial benefit and advantage. I'm thinking that the defense industry could grow. We didn't do it when we were in Afghanistan, but there were countries doing this, and I'm thinking all the framework nation for provinces in Afghanistan, they've been asked to provide a certain product, not only for the defense industry, but even from the national economy. Air condition, for example, were taken from Italy, and the example could continue. And the main benefit is the security and stability in the world. So this is
the most important.
Yeah, this is the main advantage.
Because without security, we cannot develop, and the life would be much more difficult. But is there anything else you want to say?
Yes, about the difficulties. I've already touched some of them. To generate the necessary capability, it was difficult for a country as Romania. Let me explain you why. Our equipment were not adequate to the this type of the fight in Afghanistan. We go there with our APCs. So U.S. forces, they have MRAPs, mine-resistant ambush protected vehicles. So it was different because our APC were not designed to protect to protect against the mine. They have a different firepower. They don't have electronic countermeasure, so we're not proper for the operation. But US support us because we assume to go outside of the wire in the in the dangerous mission, they give us the proper equipment. So we operate together with them.
The benefits of multinational operations.
So that's why it was difficult, because you have to ask, you have to, as a staff officer or as a commander, as a generally implicated in taking decision how to send your people there. You have to be careful, because it could cost lives, and you know that we lost people. Even when we were in Afghanistan, we have an incident. So to get the proper equipment is very, very important to face with the risk in operation. So I mentioned already the requirement, the training requirement. We actually, our capability, we're not a regular capability. A battalion is not. We're not a battalion in Afghanistan. Was something else, because the counterinsurgency is not an Article 5 operation. It's something else. So the training is different. The training requirements are different. The equipment is different. The structure of the units is different, and those have to be generated and supported, because this effort means you have to provide three. I mentioned the rotation plan. We have to have three capabilities. When you commit a capability in a certain operation, we have to have three back home. One committed
in the people.
The people, and this capability means subunits with all equipment necessary, with logistics support, with everything, able to ask. So if we have to have one in theater of operation, one back home in training procedure, preparing, making reach back with the units engaged in the operation, and the units which was coming back from the mission and operation, and having leaves, medical procedure, psychological checks, and so on and so forth. So it's a complicated, even it's more complicated for a country which don't have all the meanings ready to serve in supporting a certain capability.
I see. So because we are still discussing about the capabilities, and now I'm not referring to the people, but to the military technologies. You mentioned earlier, when you spoke about the national defense strategy or general defense strategies, that has to take into consideration technological advancements and so on. And we are currently in a period of rapid technological advancements, and those technological advancements, we can feel them even in the military field. So my question is, because we are starting to have the experience of the Ukrainian war, and my question is, how exactly is this rapid technological advancement going to change the face of military and of war? And how exactly is the future warfare going to look like? Like now, like in Ukraine, or is going? What is your opinion?
Actually, it's a very tough question, because the warfare is evolving very fast. Because, as you mentioned, because of the technological advancement, because of the geopolitical shifts and rifts. However, it's important for from from us to understand that the future warfare it's definitely multi-domain. It's definitely highly automated, highly technologized, if I may say so, and of course heavily hybrid. So this is our main characteristic of the future warfare. Speaking about the most important direction we expect to have the major change, I will refer firstly to the increased use of artificial intelligence in staff processes and decision algorithm, because the war is we assist that remassification of war in terms of drone combat robots and the smart ammunition. So this remassification create too many targets on the battlefield. Having many targets means you have to develop many equipment to get information about the target. So this is an effect of remassification with drone and robots. That will have a huge. We have discussed before. It has a huge impact on targeting. What is targeting? Targeting is a process where you have a target list selected in the battlefield. When a certain unit apply a certain meaning to hit those targets. So when you talk about the higher echelon, like division and at the brigade level, this is a very complicated process, believe me, because I lead this kind of processes at the core level. So targeting, it takes a couple hours because it was a working group discussing about the target list, the meaning to be hit, how to make an assessment after they hit to establish if he was destroyed, was damaged, or was not hit. And it was a decision taken by level. So it was a very complicated. Using artificial intelligence will speed up the process, because all the stuff involved in that, we will have instant solution from artificial intelligence. What that means, the targeting time will be compressed, and because of the requirement to compress the time for decision. So the big question is, how many decisions you will give to the artificial intelligence, and how much decision you will keep at the human level? This is a huge question. So what does mean? That means that we will assist at the staff reduction. We don't need so many men in HQs. If you remember, we in ISAF HQ we have around in shift 800 men in 2 shifts. So it was a huge amount of personnel committed over there. So with artificial intelligence, we can reduce more than a half. That is a major impact, even to display the command post. how to protect it, how to sustain it. So it's a huge impact. So that means the progressive use of artificial intelligence in staff processes. Another important thing I would mention is the fact that to have artificial intelligence involved in our processes means to have enough protection for your computer network, enough protection for your network tool in order to have it available all the time and to have a backup for them. Otherwise, you don't have trained personnel to replace the artificial intelligence, and you are doomed.
It will stop.
Yeah,
the game stops.
Another important thing I think will be to generate drone fleet conducted by artificial intelligence, which is could have a huge impact. This could replace the effect of the artillery, for example, to protect a certain flank. You don't have to task artillery to protect the flank. You have artificial intelligence with drones, a float of drones ready to go there and to stop the enemy getting in your lines. So this is very important, because that it's instant. Even if you make the fire maneuver to a flank, the drone could be faster than you do the fire maneuver, or you engage the reserve in support of the troop. Okay, let's discuss now about the technique, tactics, and procedure, which, believe me, when I saw the war in Ukraine, everything will be changed. Everything. Starting with the battle position, you saw the lay down battle position. For example, this position is a classic position protecting from the fire of the enemy, but this position will not protect you from the drones, from the famous FPV, which could.
I suppose that it's quite easy, because this is the battle position. And this is where the fire comes, but now it comes from here.
Yes.
So it doesn't.
It's come from both. So it's very difficult. It's very difficult for an infantry guy to face to fight in the battlefield right now. And I saw what the FPV is capable of.
Okay, but in those conditions, are humans, our soldiers, still necessary? I mean, if we are discussing about drones, we just have to send drones back to fight.
Step by step, progressively, I would say, because otherwise everything will be like a computer game.
In real life.
Yeah. So I don't know. I think there is a need for human over there to understand the situation, at least to understand what is happening over there. How the drone will be countered. There's another discussion, because the FPV, for example, is a wired drone. So it's impossible to be hit by electronic countermeasure. So that it's a tough question for those reading the technique, tactic, and procedure right now. Tactical norms, the porous line of contact. We discussed about flank coverage. So there are many things, things which we understand from the recent conflict. So the Romanian military probably it's writing right now new TTPs in order to train the soldier.
Okay, so we discussed about new technologies. We discussed about procedures in human combat.
If you have time.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay.
And my question is, the next question is connected to these technologies and at least specifics in Romania, because Romania is part of EU, and recently EU is trying to boost its defense capability, maybe transform itself into a defense union, and it has started quite some large funds for military capabilities that should be, at least part of them, built here in Romania. And my question is, what exactly is the role of defense industry in supporting military operations and peace? Why not? And how exactly to keep up with these technologies? What should we do? What should EU? What should Romania do? How can Romania take advantage of this situation? What is your perspective from this point of view?
Again, very complex question. However, I would like first to create the framework for discussion, because to better understand what what requirements are, we have to look at the big puzzle. What is going on? What is going on in the current geopolitical framework? So I would say that we assist at the nowadays at a major geopolitical shift and rift, like I mentioned before. If before Trump administration, and I will jump in the political issue because we have to have clear what
of course
what EU should do. We are talking about the challenge between collective West and autocratic country, China, Russia, Iran, North Korea, supported by the southern globalist country, which they contest the world order, and they want to change it, and they don't want anymore a unipolar world. So what is going on right now? Now we are seeing that the global balance of power is threatened by the changes imposed by the US president in the entire world. So my personal opinion that is that in a way or another, EU have to change.
What perspective?
Firstly, because the EU have to become more conscious by its own power and to assume substantially more in terms of security. This is very important, and it's actually it's happening right now. The problem is that this decision, alongside with Ukrainian conflict evolution and this speed implementation of the requirement, create a kind of disorder, an entropy, difficult to manage by member state without the top coordination from EU. So the EU problem is more complex than than it seems to be, not only because the Ukrainian urgent need to keep Russia away, but also to replace the US commitment to NATO. And I'm referring to the Article 5 plans. Because the US president sent the signal that, okay, we will not be so committed in defense plan. That means there is a need at the EU decision to replace the forces. I mean, part of the at least part of the forces generated by US in order to, as we discussed, fourth generation, in order to execute the defense plan. Otherwise, there will be a gap of capability, and if US will not assume, will put the EU into a very, very difficult position. I mean, to make, let's say, concession to a certain enemy. So these are the main driver. First, the requirement to support Ukraine, to keep the Russia away, and to replace the US capability. So based on those two requirements, is necessary to develop the defense industry in EU. So how we will do that? If I'm thinking to my country, for example, that's why I'm asking a coordination, because you know, it's difficult to replace the EU, because the main military equipment producer in the world is US. So the I read some figures. It's about 65% of the military equipment of the EU member nation country are provided by US. So how to be able to produce this equipment at this requirement, at this highest level of equipment, with EU capability, which belongs to the country. How to be able to produce this huge amount of military equipment in such a short period of time. So yes, this change, this rift, will impact NATO. That for sure. Will impact NATO defense plan, because probably the US commitment will be gradually reduced. I wrote some messages on Facebook, comment for a friend of mine, saying that I would not like to be in the skin of the guy who will organize the next NATO summit. So will be very tough to organize it, to have a common agenda.
In the following weeks, we will have someone who is going to organize. Yes, this webinar.
Yeah. Okay. So the impact is in NATO strategic plans, in the not in a national defense strategy. We have to assist at a major changes, and also in military strategy, and also in national defense plan, because
in my understanding, okay, to start it, to draft it, to make the strategy, like how it's going to look like, it's quite difficult. But I suppose that on the long run, it's going to benefit all member states, or at least the member states who get involved in this industrial strategy.
Paul, this is is not an event. It's an entire process. It will take some time because, firstly, because there is this discrepancy between. I mean, I'm referring to the technological level between EU and US when we are talking about the military equipment. So this discrepancy, this gap will be probably recovered in time, not immediately. What is the effects of this? That means we will lose the interoperability between US and EU country forces, because of this technological
maybe we keep the same standards as the NATO standardization procedures.
It
could be a
right.
solution.
You're right, but Europe is in a big hurry. It's a big hurry to have the necessary equipment because it have to respond right away to the threat posed by Russia. So probably it is not time for research right now.
Okay.
It's time to do something. So this is the way of doing. So if I be in the EU decision position, I will select in certain country which are the industry offering a top equipment product, and to see if they're able to expand the production at the other country level. So this is the way of doing. There were some steps. Romania, for example, made some steps in advance. For example, we have a drone factory in Baku, which they have a proper technology developed with Israel, with Elbit. So I think this drone factory is quite good and can provide a drone production by extending the production capability. I'm talking also about the HIMARS ammunition, which we produce it in Ploiești. We can expand the rocket production in order to give to the country which have those type of equipment, and also K9 howitzer and 155 millimeter ammunition, which is quite on the right track in our country right now. I will not. We can extend the discussion to many other capabilities. But I will go with those I mentioned.
My understanding, you are saying that take whatever you have now and try to develop it. Go
Exactly.
Start from there and correlate and coordinate with all the member states, and eventually we will have a solution to replace the downsize of the US.
Exactly. If France, if you have a good fighter, you have Rafale. Yeah, just produce for entire Europe. I don't know. UK, you produce cruiser, and I don't know, maritime equipment, maritime military equipment. So this is the term of discussion at the EU level. It's like a full generation. Actually, we are generating the factory in order to cover all the requirements at the EU level.
Hopefully it will be successful.
I hope so.
Okay.
Yeah.
And well, we kept on mentioning Ukraine in our discussion on different topics, and I think that it's important to discuss the situation. We apparently, US is committed to peace talks. Ukraine I think yesterday mentioned that it agrees to a truce for 30 days and so on. So how exactly do you see this war ending, and what exactly does it mean to have a lasting peace?
Yeah, it's difficult to predict. But however, if we are thinking about the what is going on right now, I think and the U.S. it's pressing Ukraine to go to the negotiation table and to accept the peace agreement in the condition not very convenient for Ukraine. So we can talk about the territorial concession. In my opinion, the Donbass and Crimea will be taken by Russia. And I don't know about the Kursk region, if we will be an exchange coin for Ukraine to get back something, but in territorial terms, that I think this is more or less accepted even by Ukraine. Ukraine will get some security guarantee from EU, probably EU plus US, because there is in their interest to get back the loan and the deal they have with the rare land they ask from Ukraine. So
the entire negotiation.
yeah, so probably will be a security guarantee from both, but in the exchange of the neutrality, because Russia wants neutral Ukraine. So we can't talk about the NATO membership. We can't. So probably will be a demilitarized zone close to the former contact line, where Ukraine will not be able to bring units or I don't know, fire meanings in order to hit. But it is a kind of escalation prevention. Another thing is Zelensky change the change of Zelensky regime. I think it will be one of the things on the table, and because
Russia says that?
Yeah, because Russia intention is to show that this the objective of denazification of Ukraine, which is one of the main objective of the how they call it, special
operation,
special military operation in Ukraine. So we will assist that the change probably will be done by election, but we will see in time what is when will happen, because first of all there is an entire process. First of all, ceasefire agreement for a period, peace agreement, demobilization, but this process will take some time, and I'm looking for 2026 for election in Ukraine, not this year, because it's entire process. You can't keep the election when you have the people mobilized in the military. So for peace promotion, probably Ukraine will maintain credible military force to deter Russia aggression, and this might be one of the condition and support from the European Union to keep the Russia away with EU support and with Ukrainian forces.
Like we mentioned earlier, you need a strong military in order to attain and maintain peace. Otherwise, you become vulnerable, I suppose.
Yeah, but Europe, it's realize that there is a need to spend more money for its own security. So this will happen. So will be a military instrument at the EU level. There were we still have time?
A couple of minutes.
Couple of minutes. Okay. So I will mention that there is many discussion about EU military. There's no such a thing. And just there, EU needs a strategic command, a strategic HQ, as SHAPE is for NATO, not forces, because the forces will be committed by NATO, will not be a military with the EU in the on the blood of the soldier. Will be just their own country, so will be a badge with EU, but will not be will be just the country. So will be just country commitment. This is the word.
I see. So, well, actually, the discussion was quite detailed. Thank you for that. And I was the only one to ask questions. So now I invite our fellows to ask questions. Who wants to start?
Yes.
Yeah, thank you very much. It was very interesting. I'm always wondering when I'm like meeting the people who's been the part of and then serving in the military. What do you think in general about the mandatory military service, especially the countries like Moldova, Georgia, and moreover, like, what do you think how countries can promote military service in their nation, besides the fact that like it's a good thing, it's a patriotism, it's I don't know, the serving your country, like what kind of strategies can the countries use to promote the military service?
Yeah, thank you for a question. Let's see. We have to think differently about Georgia and Moldova. I'm very concerned about the Black Sea region because the security of the Black Sea affect directly Romania, Bulgaria, and there is a base having Russian having Crimea. They have a platform from which they can project their maritime power in Eastern Mediterranean. So there is a risk for Europe and for alliance to live under Russian control the Black Sea. Regarding Georgia, I think country. But talking about Moldova, the question is very good. EU have to be at the negotiation table alongside with US backing especially Ukraine, and to raise the issue of Russian forces in Transnistria, which in my opinion is a subject of negotiation right now in the peace talks in Abu Dhabi. The other question of you regarding the military service in my country, I talk about this issue in couple times, and I wrote some article. In my opinion, it's not necessary to come back to the compulsory military service. But we have to build up a certain mandatory volunteer, let's say, you have to, every young man, let me explain how it's working. This is what the President Macron implemented in France in the first mandate. It took about 3 years to do that. Every young man or woman is obliged to go to have a voluntary service in the military or in the Ministry of Interior or in the certain service in our country, because not only the military is important, all the other services are the same important. And we noticed that in Ukraine it was necessary for intervention units from the Ministry of Interior, firemen, and those repairing the roads, those I don't know, working in shift in hospitals. So it's necessary to have this part of the voluntary commitments in Romania. Actually, we easily can do that, because there is a stupid thing. The men and women, when they finish the school, the high school, they get an unemployment fee for 6 months. So I can let's say wisely spend those money, increasing the fee, and put them, learn them how to do something useful for the country, and to serve in different services. And as for the military, there's a necessary of huge reform. So we have to do that. But first of all, the starting point, as I said before, is a new national defense strategy, and to elect a president with a clear vision, with a clear level of ambition, and a clear concept. I don't know, when I'm referring to the concept, I'm referring for the strategy. I'm referring the concept, for example, is total war. Total war, that means we have it before 89, total war. The northern country have the same concept in their strategy. So we are getting back to this concept. We don't have a concept right now in our strategy. So I want to have a concept. Otherwise, for me, as a military, it's impossible to develop a military strategy. And I would like to know who my enemy is. Otherwise, it's impossible to develop a military strategy. But we have discussed about that.
Are you happy? Okay. Other questions?
I had a question. First, I wanted to appreciate one unique use of language that you had. You talked about a document that you make and then never use. You called it a drawer document. I thought that was very artful, and I like that. But my question was, so because Europe has been so dependent on the U.S. in the past, it seems that they've kind of adopted some American values that maybe aren't in the interest of Europe as a whole, and followed your American interests, for example, into the Middle East. So I'm curious, what in your view has Europe given up in their acceptance of Europe as a defense guarantor, and what can Europe gain back? What can they take back? What does Europe do now that they no longer have to do when they become their own security force? When they no longer depend on the United States, what do you gain from that?
And this came from the Trump president in first mandate, because he asked the EU to commit more money for defense, and this not happened. So the president was not very happy. I understand why, because the major contribution in NATO belongs to the US. Almost around 67% from NATO commitment belong to US. So yes, from the transactional perspective, as President Trump has, the Europe could easily orientate money to other services, to other things to do for their people. So this creates this frustration for President Trump. So when he took the second mandate, he raised this thing at a different level. To be honest, there is a fight between EU and the US from the globalist perspective, because Trump doesn't want the globalist system anymore in the US, and he took all kinds of measures to get rid of the second and third level of decision in the US in order to impose and to build up institution with the people who respect his direction and guidance. So Europe is still keeping the globalist system. So actually, I'm seeing the Trump action, the Trump rhetoric against Europe as for determine the EU to get rid of globalists too. So this is actually the fight. So the Europe is still resisting in that. The first argument, it was a security argument. The second will be taxes. So the third probably is Russia. I don't know. Will be the President Trump has probably he prepared this strategy in fighting against the globalism in the world. So everything depends on the success we have in United States. I don't know if I answered to your question, but I said what I'm thinking and I'm feeling.
You did answer quite a bit of my question. One thing I was trying to get at was if there's pressure points that Europe can apply to the US. For example, there's lots of US troops and US bases in Europe, and if Europe is not, or if America is not guaranteeing European security, are those things that maybe Europe could use against the United States to bring them back into the fold? For example, saying that they will no longer lease the land to these bases. Are there things that Europe can do now to pressure the United States back into security guarantees, or anything like that?
From my opinion, it's a game. It's a controlled game to get something. And this is what President Trump wants to get from Europe, what I say. So probably will not withdraw the forces, the troops from U.S. troops from Europe. Will be a reduction, will be redeployment of forces in Europe, but will not be redeployed because the risk of losing Europe for US it's huge. However, I accept that the US focus is moving from the Euro-Atlantic area to the Pacific Asia. So this is there is a major concern for US, and I accept that there should be let's say and more troops, more deterrence against China, and aggressive action of China against Taiwan.
Okay.
And thank you. That was very, responsive.
You're welcome.
Any further questions? Well, I think that we had so many details from you, General. Thank you so much.
You're welcome. Anytime.
I would like to end, but I also want to ask one final question.
Please.
Because our fellows are supposed to work in teams and present a project, a resilience project, to aim a specific topic and solve it. So what exactly could you advise them from a leadership perspective?
To be a leader, as I said, the first condition is to have a strategic thinking. Without that, you can't be a leader. You have to understand the complexity of the global changes. So you have to work to build up your own strategic vision and to be able to lead, having a global perspective in your mind. Otherwise, you're not a leader. Secondly, I encourage you to encourage research. I encourage you to use artificial intelligence, technology, and I encourage you to develop your diplomatic and negotiation skill. It's very important. And also the communication skills, it's important. And the last one, lead with integrity and stay close to the people.
Good advices. So stay close to each other, at least in this stage. Thank you, guys. Thank you for patience. I hope it was insightful for you. I'm not exactly sure how many of you had experience regarding the military and how it works in the operation and so on. And I suppose it's a little bit more clear now.
Or not.
It is. It is. Thank you, General, once again.
You're welcome. Anytime.
For accepting our invitation. Thank you too as well for patience and for questions, and see you next time. Bye.
Have a nice evening.
Have a nice evening.